DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today is Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross. Chief, how are you this morning?
Hey, good. How are you, Seth?
I'm all right. Trying not to freeze out there, Chief. It's been cold this last week or so here.
Yep. You throw that on top of about 6.5 inches of snow, and it's a little hectic.
It really is, But hopefully, folks in Monticello are moving around all right, and things are going well there. And Chief, one topic that comes up with law enforcement and even school leaders now, obviously, because they're kind of tied into this, obviously, is reunification planning, emergency planning at schools and such. I know this has, for you, I'm sure, has been on your radar, maybe even since your early days in law enforcement. But, the planning for emergencies in schools never ceases. It's always something top of mind for everybody, I'm sure. And reunification has become a buzzword in that planning. And I know this is something that's, like I said, has been ongoing with your department and schools in your area there. Describe this to us, Chief, to get us started. What is this and what's it all about?
Sure. So really, everything started around, 1999, the Columbine school shooting, and law enforcement came around and said, we need a better way of dealing with these issues. So then, of course, I started my career in law enforcement back in 2004. So it went into, active shooter, and that's, how you go in different formations. And then it turned in from formations and getting people on your side to you have to go in and stop the threat. Well, then as that progressed in the, late 2000s, early 2010s, it came down to law enforcement knows how to deal with a threat. The fire department knows how to deal with a fire. The medical people know how to deal with the medical issues. And honestly, really, much like the issue, I believe it was in Washington, Illinois, you have a tornado. And, we have to respond to that. We know how to respond to these incidents. But what we were getting caught up on is, okay, we have, we dealt with a threat, we dealt with a fire, we dealt with a medical issue, we dealt with, straight line winds taking the roof off. But now we have anywhere, for our schools, it's 300 to maybe 700 kids in a school, depending on, Whiteheath Elementary School, middle school, or high school. And how are we going to reunify these kids if it's not safe because of weather, fire, whatever here? How are we going to get these kids back to mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever they stay with? So as the years went on, we really started looking at reunification. And we went to the National Association for School Resource Officers Conference in Colorado, and they had a fantastic presentation on reunification. So here about 3 years ago, the regional office kind of tied in on a few things, and we teamed up with a group called the I Love You Guys, and this is started by a parent whose daughter was unfortunately killed in a school shooting, and he's made it his life mission to really help schools and help communities tie in school safety and how to reunify kids or students and even staff members with their family after an event. So it's a free program, and it is very detailed, but it's not so detailed that I understand that what we do for Whiteheath is different than what we do for the high school, and it's even different than what we do probably in Decatur or another school. But it gives you a very good foundation to work off of, and we've developed it pretty well. Like for anything that happens in Piatt County, our reunification center is the Monticello Christian Church on State Street. It's large enough with the sanctuary and the multi-use room, and it has different smaller rooms that we could have for counseling or medical or anything like that. Here about a year and a half ago, BMET did a fantastic drill to where they had a fake fire, so they evacuated the school. All the kids came down here, and the parents picked up the students from the church here in town. From that, we got a few ideas on how to change things, how to make it flow a little bit better. But really, we meet with the regional office of education, all the schools, law enforcement officers, school safety officials. We meet about once a month, if not every other month, and really just kind of hammer out some details and make sure we're on the same page. It's a really good system that the ROE and the I Love You guys really teamed up for.
Sure. Now, so Chief, how often are you meeting on this? Is it a different point of emphasis each time? Are you kind of going off of maybe guidance from this I Love You Guys Foundation? You know, where do you find your guidance? Where do you find your planning topic, if you will? And I don't know if those are details you even want to divulge, so forgive me if I'm asking something.
No. So the regional office has really spearheaded this, and they hired a school safety director, which has really taken this and run with it. So we meet usually about the third or fourth Thursday, the month, kind of depending on how things sit in the calendar. And a lot of times it's school reunification, but like last week, they had an agent with the FBI come in and talk about some juvenile issues that kind of center around internet usage, cell phones, because I tell you what, it's hard for me to go through too many schools, and that's whether that's rural, urban, or in between, and see someone in middle school, or if not a little bit, younger, with a cell phone. Not so much on days like today, but I tell you what, in the spring, summer, and fall, once the kids get out, you see a lot of phones pop out once they get out of the school. So last week's meeting really centered on internet safety, kind of making sure, and what we're seeing more and more with some of the juvenile calls that my wife, Lindsay Bross, he's a school resource officer for the county, and then myself see, is we get a lot of issues over cell phones. You give a kid a cell phone, even an adult, you give an adult a cell phone, and it opens up the world. With
sometimes the adults are worse than the kids.
Yes, we do find that out, because it's one thing. I'm not a big fan of technology, but there's people older than I that are not familiar with a lot of the internet safety, and something will happen and they'll call us and say, "Oh my gosh, can you please get this image down? Can you get my money back? Can you?" And it's really difficult too, because once you send something, over the internet for any reason, you lose all control over it. You really do.
For sure. Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross on the phone with us here this morning. Chief, you've opened up kind of a can of worms on the show today in this cell phone discussion. And I guess having that relationship. You mentioned your wife is a school resource officer. I know I've talked with her on the show and have talked with obviously you as well about this. But you mentioned the cell phones becoming an issue. How does that play itself out? What does that look like?
So really, unfortunately, we come in after something usually happens, whether that be images being sent, harassing, text, either through people they know, people they don't know. We see sometimes some extortion. They'll try to get money out of the kids, and the kids are either embarrassed or they don't want to tell mom or dad, and they just start Venmoing, or sending money to somebody. So we usually get in after something's occurred, but usually when we enter, we talk to the kids, and we understand kids make mistakes. No way, shape, or form do we want to make a kid feel worse than what they already do, or make a criminal act out of every single thing on a cell phone. And you hit the nail on the head. We have adults that can't figure some of these things out. We can't really expect a 13-year-old kid to do that either.
Right.
So the reoccurring theme we see on some of this is we get a lot of parents that say, well, I want to give my kid their privacy. I want to give my kid, that respect. I wouldn't want them to do that to me. And usually our response to that is, unfortunately, that's not okay. We have to, monitor. My daughter's 11. She'll be 12 here in a couple months. And, of course, she's amping up on, hey, for my birthday, I sure could use a phone, and, gives us reasons for, and that's not a horrible idea. I mean, I get sports, kids have events. It's nice to call mom or dad or text and say, hey, we're on the bus. We'll be home in 15 minutes. Can you pick us up? That's not a problem. But we get a lot of parents that don't want to seem like they're spying on their kids. And unfortunately, with the internet the way it is, and that for people that prey on kids, you just have to stay on it. You need to look at any sort of application, whether that be Snapchat, Periscope, Discord, the regular internet history. Click on the apps, because what we're seeing now is apps. It may say a calculator, but it will be some sort of messaging app. And that's just, why would you ever do that if there wasn't some nefarious reason behind it? So what we tell parents is every now and then, take your kid's phone, make sure things are going okay. And it may not be that, make sure, they're, not discussing inappropriate things, make sure they aren't looking up inappropriate things on the internet. But the real big kicker is making sure that no one's trying to reach out to them for images, to talk, as friends, trying to get money from them, things like that.
Sure. Chief, I'll tell you what, on that note, let's pause and take a break. We'll come back with some more with Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross. It is the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Wednesday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. We start the day in the green with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. March corn opening 431 up 4.5. May corn up 438 3/4. And December new crop 457 up 2 3/4. March beans opening 1078 1/4 up 11. May beans up 10 3/4, 1090 1/4. November new crop 1091 up 8 1/4. March Chicago wheat 534.5 up 11 1/4. May wheat up 10 1/4, 543. July wheat 553.5 up 9.5. March KC wheat 543 up 10 1/4. March bean meal 298.20 up 4.20. March bean oil up 7 cents, 54.48. Opening numbers on this Wednesday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
This is Inside.
Happy New Year from all of us here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Most of our customers trade for a different SUV or truck because their needs change each year. That's good because we have transportation options for you. Plus, we need your trade. Our selection of top quality pre-owned trades come from you. Come see our ever-changing Chevrolet and Buick inventory today. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton, talking about continuing to serve the community through new ownership.
Things came together and we reached an agreement to purchase. And as you mentioned, we closed August the 1st. So that's August the 1st. Miller Media Group is now Hart Media Group. And we're continuing to serve the people of Clinton and DeWitt County and Monticello and Bloomington and Decatur and everywhere, because we'll just keep connecting people as we've been doing.
The Hart Media Group looks forward to continuing to serve the community for years to come.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, on the phone with us this morning is Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross. Chief, we were talking in the break there. You laid out, the challenges that cell phones create for kids, and it's more about just kind of their online safety more than it is school safety. But we tied in that piece of the conversation to school safety planning. Now tie in then, Chief, how kids with cell phones, how that plays into safety planning at school. How about that?
So it used to be, we hunkered down in school. Something happens, no matter what, we're going to barricade ourselves in. And then we kind of got away from that and went to the Alice method, which is just like another term for run, hide, fight. If you can run out of the school and away from danger, you do that. If you can't run away, it's not safe, but you can lock down and barricade yourself in a room, you do that. Last case scenario, if something happens and it's right next to you, then you fight like heck and then get away. So what we learned is, okay, let's say we have an incident and we go through Alice, we go through run, hide, fight, and we have kids that just run and doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They run away from danger and they go to where it's safe. Mm-hmm. What do we do? And how do we know that they're going to be safe? Because when we do our reunification, relocation, mm-hmm. We're taking them from a school and we're putting them in the Monticello church. Mm-hmm. How do we know? We're going to do a head count, so we'll know who made it there, who didn't. And then we start going through and saying, okay, Joe Smith and Susie Smith aren't here. Where are they? What we found is the school doesn't really they have mom and dad's phone number. They have grandma and grandpa's phone number, but they really don't have the kid's phone number. So we're looking at ways to maybe enter that information into, and not a system that law enforcement would have or anything like that. But if you have an emergency, we really need to know how you're, if you're safe, where you're at, so we can check on you. Mm-hmm. And I know, and it's a good thing, if something happens, honestly, it's Monticello. If they see one squad car at a school, that they may wonder what's going on. Yeah. If they see two squad cars at a school, they're really wondering what the heck's going on. Sure. So yeah. If we have an event, they see police cars, fire trucks, and an ambulance. Mm-hmm. Parents, it's a very highly emotional event. Mm-hmm. So the cell phone does work a little bit, for letting mom, dad, grandma, grandpa know, hey, I'm okay. We're walking out of the school, or we're at the church. I'm okay. Because when we do the relocation and reunification, when we take them from one school and put them in the church, it's not going to be everyone thinks, oh, it's just like school release. It'll be, a half hour and done. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a several hour event, mm-hmm. And that's the hardest thing for people to kind of understand. We do drills and everything else, but in an actual event, we may not get those kids out of that school for an hour. Mm-hmm. And that's just because we need to make sure everything's safe. Mm-hmm. We don't just release everyone at once. It is a classroom by classroom, very methodical and slow process. So, sure. Kids having cell phones, or like my daughter has the Gizmo watch, it's very limited on what it can do. Mm-hmm. At least throwing a message out to mom and dad, or somebody saying, hey, I'm okay. That kind of decreases the anxiety. There's still anxiety, but it decreases it a little bit knowing that your kiddo's okay.
Sure. Very good. Very good. Well, on that note, Chief, anything else on that topic? Good conversation there. Did I miss anything you want to put out there that we haven't touched on yet?
Really, they market. We talked during the break a little bit, for lack of a better term, kid-friendly phones without internet. I tell my daughter the only thing I'm going to get her is a flip phone, and with no camera, and she can do the you tap 2 twice for a C or whatever else. But
man, you're taking us back a little bit there, Chief.
Yeah. But you have the internet, allegedly the kids' safe phones. You can get whatever you want, but really it comes down to making sure you keep track of what's on your kid's phone. Again, my kid has a Gizmo. Every now and then, my wife and I, we just kind of look through and make sure that, no one's, harassing. I mean, it's very nice because we limit who is allowed to be on that phone.
Sure.
There's
Yeah.
only her close, friends that kind of get to go on there.
Mhm.
But really, it's just making sure and having that conversation. Having the talk with your kid. Hey, how things going at school? Has anybody reached out to you? Is everything okay? And again, not to spy on your kid or to see what kind of drama is at the high school, middle school, or any other school. But it's really just making sure that your kid's okay. Because, I mean, being a kid's rough. Growing up is kind of a pain, but it's a lot harder if you have all these other distractions from the cell phone.
Sure. On that note, Chief, I got about a minute left with you. What's kept you busy lately these days?
Really, just kind of the snowfall, making sure everyone's safe on the roads. I know our public works guys have been working darn near nonstop, kind of clearing some of the snow piles we had from the weekend joy from Saturday into Sunday. So really, we're just telling people that the roads are going to stay, snow-packed. They'll try to scrape them, but of course, it's not going to go all the way down to the road. Everything melts and then it refreezes at night. So just be careful when you're going to work, coming home from work. Give yourself that extra time. We talked a little bit before. My daughter had a game in Philo. My wife said the roads were rough when she got outside of town.
Mhm.
So just give yourself that extra time. And, it's not fun going into a ditch on your way to the game. So just give yourself that extra time and slow down.
Thought I was going to be one of those last night, Chief. I really did. But on that note, my friend, Chief, how do folks follow along with all things Monticello Police?
We have our Monticello, Illinois Police Department Facebook page and then our internet page through the cityofmonticello.net.
Very good. Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross on the phone with us here this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news comes your way now.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, along with 92.3 FM Clinton and 106.5 FM Bloomington Normal.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. She was at the podium speaking at a town hall forum in Minneapolis yesterday when a man rushed up and sprayed Democratic